at Tuscaloosa Station, corner of Skyland East Boulevard and Palisades Drive. TuscaloosaMazda.com. For details, visit TuscaloosaMazda.com.
And knocked down again. That was Christian Miller.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with 4-time SEC champion and 2-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here's college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform driveways and parking lots with expert repairs, new paving, or resurfacing. Fast, durable, and family-owned quality that you can trust. Don't let small issues turn into big expenses. Call 205-393-9149 for your free estimate today. That's 205-393-9149. Asphalt Restoration, where smooth roads start. Roll Tide.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama, we are here treating patients from every generation
across the United States
and from around the world. We're here for the rookies and the dreamers trying to make a name for themselves. We are here for the achievers
who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers and mentors
who are shaping the next generation of legends. We are here for you.
Aggressively pursuing victory over injury.
Learn more at andrewsportsmedicine.com.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit Lamparello-Law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education, and Advocacy. Proud partner. Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I want to tell you about our great friends over at Brian Harding Construction. Located in the heart of Tuscaloosa, Brian Harding Construction is woman-owned and strong as steel. A specialty manufacturing firm with expertise in structural steel fabrication, ASME code piping and vessels, CNC machine work, welding, laser cutting, pipe fitting, industrial maintenance, and crane rentals. With a proven track record of over 30-plus years of experience, no one is better fit for the job. For an evaluation, contact Brian Harding Construction today at 205-752-9611. Again, that's Brian Harding Construction at 205-752-9611.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Brooks Austin, the film guy, as we'll look ahead to Alabama's first practice at that point, hours away from training camp starting at the University of Alabama. We'll have complete coverage starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. And streaming worldwide on the free Tide app.
And knocked down again. That was Christian Miller.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with 4-time SEC champion and 2-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here's college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
And welcome into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope you guys are doing well, fired up, ready for some football action. We got football coming up very close. We're about, less than 24 hours, more or less. Actually, no, we are less than 24 hours than Alabama taking the field for their first practice. We're about 24 hours from hearing live from Mal Moore. Head coach Kalen DeBoer will address the media post-practice around this time, 11:10, 11:20 or so. So we'll be carrying that live coverage here on the show tomorrow. So that said, Chase, training camp is officially here technically, right? Today is report day. So I guess we can go ahead and say Alabama football is officially back since those guys are back in the building as they gear up for tomorrow's first practice. So we're going to spend today kind of previewing fall camp, kind of looking at some, I guess, position battles, storylines, the biggest things, I guess, we're expecting or looking forward to seeing and hearing from fall camp. We'll do that today. We'll be joined by Clint Lamb of Bama Online. We're going to have to get used to saying that. Clint announced that he has a new journey ahead of him. He's joined Bama Online, still pumping out great content, doing a lot of great work just with a different platform. So we'll be joined by Clint Lamb of Bama Online. I'm going to keep saying that till I get it stuck in my head. At the top of the hour, like we typically do on Talking Tuesday. So we'll look forward to doing that, getting his thoughts one day before Alabama's first official practice for the 2026 fall training camp period. That said, we'd also love to answer y'all's questions. If you guys have any questions remaining as we quickly approach training camp, please drop them in the comment section in any of our streams. Of course, we always urge you guys to check us out on the stream if you haven't already at The Miller's Edge on YouTube, on X, at Christian Miller R, my personal X account as well, and the Tide 100.9 Facebook page. You can find our live streams there as well. Drop your comments, questions, and concerns. We'll discuss them. You can interact with everybody else in the chat and watch everything that we put on the screen, right? If we ever have any video clips or whatever the case may be, we play that on the screen. For example, tomorrow we'll have video of Coach DeBoer's press conference. So make sure you guys check us out for that. You can always download that Tide 100.9 app completely free. It is a global app that allows you access to listen to not just this show, but all shows globally. So make sure you guys download that on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, whatever store you have on your cellular device or iPad, whatever it is that you guys use. And if you guys listen to the football game coverage, pregame, postgame show, which I'm a part of over on the network, you can do that as well on the Tide 100.9 app. So even more of a reason to download it if you haven't already. That being said, Chase, we got plenty of football to talk about, man. Are you fired up for football season? Now, of course, I know your schedule's kind of busy, but you're always welcome on behalf of the Miller's Edge, man. If you can sneak up there and get some coverage, man. I know you did a great job. A-Day was great, man. You and Jaisha were killing it, man. Some live updates. But are you ready for football to be back? Not only with college football, but I saw somebody in the chat mention, man, my Panthers kick off the NFL preseason this Thursday. I don't know if you guys are big NFL fans. I'm just a football fan, so I like watching it all if I can. So I'm even excited about that. We take on the Cardinals. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know Mac Wilson is in Arizona. I'm trying to think if we have anybody else still with them. I know Dalvin was there. Not sure if he's still, I don't think he's still there. Anyway, are you fired up for football season, Chase?
I am. I think it's going to be one of remarkable seasons, I will say, for college football fans, especially like NFL as well. The anticipation is high. I guess for NFL, I am for sure not necessarily my New Orleans Saints. I don't know what to make of them, but I think there's so many storylines to catch up on, so many kind of ups and downs, and then obviously with college football, where can you start? There's just so much going on. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm so happy we're here. It's crazy that we're embarking on a new season, and there's so many things that can happen.
100%. And I do feel like it's going to be one of those seasons in college football where there's going to be a lot happening. Probably a lot of, I don't know, just a lot of unknowns. It feels like, and I feel like there's a very leveled playing field, at least amongst the top right now. Nobody really clearly separating themselves, at least preseason wise. So definitely some intriguing matchups, and I'm just looking forward to it. I don't know, I'm really excited about football season pretty much being here. Again, today is report day. First practice of fall camp tomorrow. That includes media access to Coach DeBoer's press conference. Had to catch myself. Media will be available to watch practice on Thursday and Friday. So you probably won't, I guess, unless Alabama releases like B-roll footage, but there won't be like if you guys follow a lot of the beat writers and the folks that cover Alabama football, there won't be any of those clips tomorrow, even though tomorrow is the first practice. Let me just go ahead and give you guys that heads up, because I know some people are going to wake up, Chase, they're going to be expecting to go on X and scroll and Facebook and see all these clips from practice. Probably won't have that tomorrow just because there's no media access until after practice when Coach DeBoer is having his press conference, unless they release, a little B-roll footage clip that they sometimes do. But Thursday, it is an open practice early on, right? I always say open practice. That is the wrong terminology. The practice is open to the media to kick things off. So let me be clear. Thursday and Friday. So you guys have plenty of clips to check out. And we'll have plenty of clips to throw on the screen here on the stream as we're talking about the latest coming out of fall camp. Last but not least, before we hit this timeout, We got plenty of articles I want to dive into to kind of help shape this conversation. Of course, we're going to be answering y'all's questions about fall camp as we preview it. But I know Andrew Bone, man, over on Alabama now, has been pumping out all types of articles, leading up to training camp. So I want to visit some of these, a number of them just from like the last 24 hours, but some of these key battles, some of the newcomers, some of the young guys that they're expecting to, make an impact this season. So we'll discuss all those. We'll go through it. And, I guess free shameless plug, man. Check out Alabama. I think like $5 a month. They do a really good job right now, just pumping out a bunch of content. If you guys like articles and stuff like that. So make sure you guys check it out. We'll be discussing it on the show, but for you to be able to actually read it, make sure you guys subscribe to that if you can. If not, no worries, man. I'll try to do my best to, give you guys this inside scoop without giving away too much. I don't want to interfere with what they're doing over there. That said, all right, let's hit our first time out of the day. When we come back, we dive into our fall camp preview. We talk some Alabama football, answer y'all's questions. Top of the hour, we got Clint Lamb of Bama Online on 3 joining us at the top of the hour. Looking forward to that as we continue previewing fall camp right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC is a Talking Tuesday edition. Quick timeout.
This critical legislation now. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop. This message is furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit lamparello-law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Proud partner.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Sunny skies, comfortable temperatures, low humidity 91 this afternoon. Gentle northwest breeze. We head into tonight, and the mugginess starts to creep back in. Partly cloudy, low 73. Wednesday, sunny, high 93. A small chance of an afternoon shower. Thursday, sunny, climbing to 94. And we stay in the mid-90s as we wrap up the week on Friday with sunshine in the forecast. Richard Wedding of the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 86 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Tide 100.9.
Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Happy fall camp day. Reed, who's now behind the glass. Can we officially say that? I know practice is tomorrow, but I think it's safe to say. I mean, it is officially fall camp time. If report day is today, correct?
I think we can make that happen.
Or no?
Yeah. No, I think it should. I mean, if the report's coming out, then,
I mean, I think it's fair. I mean, isn't there like a pre... Like, I guess like for school, isn't there like a day? No, maybe I'm making that up. I feel like in high school we had a day where it was similar, where we went up to school for like it was like a week before school actually started. Was it orientation I'm thinking about?
Yeah. So I was going to say, like, when I visited, the university, right, like before I became an official student, we had, Bama Bound, which was orientation, which was it was like one day that kind of went overnight but finished the next morning of just kind of learning about the campus and everything. So I think it should qualify for, but of course, like Bama Bound wasn't also when classes started. So it's like, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So maybe we can call it today a little bit like orientation.
Yeah, I think
something similar to an orientation day. I don't know. We'll count it, man. Fall camp's pretty much here. Let's go ahead and start previewing it, right? Let's just kind of go down the list, Reed, of the main things we're expecting, right, or that we're going to be focusing on. Then we'll take a look at some of these articles from Andrew Bone over on 3 and kind of, discuss some of the things that he's been talking about, which, again, I mean, They're the official NIL entity. I know it's so funny. We had to talk about this. Like, obviously, they've got sources inside the building. It's Alabama, but then they also make sure that these are opinions of the staff here. It's like it's together, but it's separate. But they have a lot of good content over there, so we're going to discuss that and shape the conversation around a bunch of these articles that we have here. And, of course, answer y'all's questions and be joined by Clint Lamb at the top of the hour. First things first, Reed, quarterback battle. Right? We just got to start there. That's arguably is not the most important, in my opinion. But for a lot of people, it feels to be the most important. It's definitely one of the most important battles.
I think the most important unanswered question.
Yeah, well, I would argue that the offensive line is the most important unanswered question. That's my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's just my opinion. But I think quarterback is a close second, maybe. Right? At least when I look at this football team. If I had to rank the question marks, I mean, I'd say offensive line, maybe I'd say probably offensive line, quarterback, linebacker, running back. I feel like those are like some of the main ones. Am I missing one? Would you add something? If we're specifically talking about position groups or personnel, I feel like that pretty much covers
maybe
most.
On the offensive end, at least. Now, on the defensive end, I'm kind of looking toward that linebacker room.
Yeah, well, I threw that in there. That was my fourth. So I went offensive line, quarterback, probably running back or linebacker, then running back room, and then defensive line probably, if I had to add a fifth. I could also argue that wide receiver room has some question marks for sure. I mean, really, there's question marks, across the board, it's like pretty much every football team. But if we're saying like the most prominent question marks, I would say probably those. Starting with the quarterback battle, we've talked about it. We all know what it is, right? You got the young phenom and Keelan Russell, a guy who really caught, I'm not going to say the world's attention because we didn't broadcast the game, but really caught the fan base's attention during A-Day. Really was living up to the hype in that showing. Austin Mack, a guy who I feel like people are kind of writing off a little bit or forgetting about, which I urge people to maybe be cautious in doing so, because I think this is a battle that is a very genuine battle. And the reason I say a genuine battle is because sometimes there's battles where you're like, hey, this guy has an upper hand. It's his job to lose. I think this is a true quarterback battle, Reed, where both of these guys did good stuff during the spring, right? Nobody really has a true upper hand. I feel like each guy, kind of like Coach DeBoer talked about, has things that they might do a little bit better than the other or have a little bit advantage here or there. But realistically, I still think it's very much a toss-up. Now, for me, I still think Keelan Russell's upside is something that you really have to – it's going to be hard to deny that. If you're talking about, hey, we want to make a run, we want somebody in there that can make plays, right? Something we lacked some explosive plays last year, right? I feel like he has that ability. But then I also look at Austin Mack, and I'm like, this guy, he knows this system in and out. You know, can that experience, not necessarily game experience, but experience in the system, kind of help edge out the young Keelan Russell, who we know has tremendous upside and potential? But then it's like, how long is he going to be on his heels, right? So there's so many questions there. That's why we know that's a really important one. And it's going to be exciting to watch them throughout fall camp, because this is where things really heat up, right? Like, I've never been in a quarterback battle. I didn't play quarterback, and God knows if I did, I would look like Uncle Rico out there. But I've witnessed a number of quarterback battles. These are really important ones, man. And you just can see, man, it's very competitive. Guys, they go at it. Now, I do think there's a healthy dynamic in this room where it's a healthy competition, right? There's some situations where guys are competitive, and naturally so. I mean, I'm not saying there's like tension, but you just know, like Jalen and Tua, I'm not gonna lie, like that probably wasn't like those guys were definitely competing, right? I feel like this is a situation where these guys are. I don't think it can get toxic. Things can always get toxic. I don't think you're dealing. My point is, I don't think you're dealing with something like that with this situation. I think both these young men are very mature and can handle themselves the right way.
Yeah, and Christian, I was going to ask you, being around just, because it's not even coming from a fan perspective, but it's just you being around that quarterback battle, you kind of experienced what the kind of feelings were. I know you were saying, you can kind of feel it was tense, but really heading into that first day. So, let's just say that, one of those years that the QB battle was happening while you were playing, right? It's the day before fall camp actually starts. What were the kind of, feels around the locker room? What was kind of the vibes, I guess?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of carryover from the summer, right? because those guys are spending a lot of time throwing, right? Whether it's in 7-on-7, after a lift, going in the indoor. They're already doing, it's not like it's just, it just picks up from ground zero, because they've been putting in a lot of work during the summer. They've been throwing together. They've been establishing those connections, right, with both quarterbacks. I mean, we've even seen clips of them. When was it? Like during their break in May, maybe? I think they went out to Cali and were throwing with Austin. I think both quarterbacks were out there, right? That's what I'm saying. I think they have a good dynamic in that sense. But to answer your question, man, I mean, there's always one guy's always got to go first. So, that's always interesting. One guy has to go first. Typically, the guy that is a little more experienced, or the veteran, typically, that is the case. And really, man, it's just, day one, like, I'll be honest, day one of fall camp is kind of like day one, like today is orientation. Day one practice is still very much almost like physical orientation, going out there, getting the flow of practice, right? Because remember, you got a lot of guys that haven't, I guess nowadays it's a little bit different. Everybody early enrolls. Yeah. So they've been a part of practice. Maybe there's a handful of guys that haven't, that enrolled during the summer, but you're trying to get back in football shape, because there's a big difference between running, stairs in the stadium to, running 110s to going out there and even, just with a helmet, right? I mean, it's a little bit different type of conditioning. So it's still very early. But I would say, Reed, as the days go on and you're installing more, the playbook's starting to get thicker again, you're starting to, make your natural progressions, things definitely start heating up. But I think it's important to understand there's going to be ebbs and flows, right? None of these battles are just linear, right? I mean, I've seen it where guys, looks like one quarterback is the guy for half of fall camp, then all of a sudden he kind of drops off. I've seen it where, it's neck and neck, and then it even goes into the year. I mean, it can go a number of different ways, which I feel like it's going to be kind of like the latter there. I think it's going to probably be neck and neck, right? I mean, you just look at both these guys, you can see how much they've both grown. Like Keelan Russell, just seeing where he's at now from when I first saw him, I saw his first practice here in Tuscaloosa, just to see where he's at now. The dude has made, such large strides, to the point where I'm almost like, man, he's a lot further along than I even anticipated where he would be maybe at this point in time. But that's not to sleep on Austin Mack either, because I'll be honest with you, I think people like the new shiny toys. That's always the case. Anytime you get a new, just like next year, like everybody's raving about, Crowell and CD Morgan. I guess the 2027 class is a little bit different. You didn't bring in a whole bunch, but best believe, like when you get those new shiny toys, people are going to start. I always do this, and I hate to use names, but AK Deer, everybody was talking about him almost, not as much as Crowell necessarily, but damn near like Crowell. I mean, they were 5-star. I think he was like a 4-star, but one side maybe 5-star. Everybody called him a 5-star running back. AK Deer, he's going to come in here. Took him a year, right, to develop. He wasn't quite ready, which is, again, normal, right? It took me several years to develop. I needed to develop physically, right? That was my biggest thing. Just everybody's different. Now who are they talking about? Talking about Crowell. I don't even hardly hear about AKD like that, right? So I think when you look at this quarterback situation, it feels a little bit like that, in a sense where it maybe, and then maybe there's a little bit of understanding there too. I mean, like, it's not like Keelan Russell, they're just talking about him because where he's ranked. I mean, they've now seen him go out there and do some of these things. Even when he got some burn last football season. What game was it? Who are we playing where he rolled out right here? He stepped up in the pocket and he hit the dude on like the right side of the field for touchdown. I mean, like, whatever game that was, I know he had some plays where after that everybody was like, oh yeah, he's the future. So I totally understand like the hype. But then, of course, A-Day, right? How could you not acknowledge what you saw out of the guy? Because here's my thing I'll point out. Like, yes, we understand that he wasn't getting sacked. He was facing pressure that was almost, I say non-existent, meaning like, that he wasn't going to get sacked. But you can't deny, like, just the throwing ability of him, man. I mean, the way the ball comes off his hand, I mean, the accuracy, his ability to extend plays with his legs. And then I'll take it a step further, Reed. It wasn't just like certain throws. He was the one moving the offense, right? That was one of the things that really stood out to me. I'm like, hey, it's not like we're saying, okay, this guy made some wow plays, but he looked very comfortable. He looked very confident. Now, I'm sure if you go back and watch the tape, second glance, you'd probably say, okay, a few things we need to clean up here. Can't hold the ball here. The pressure coming, we'd have to actually get rid of that football. You know what I mean? Like, be smart in those situations. But I think it's going to be very close. And I think it's going to be a very intense battle. And I think it's something that we're going to have to keep up with closely because, I mean, Coach DeBoer sounds like he wants to have an answer relatively sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
but we also know it's not something you just rush, right? You don't want to rush it either. I mean, I think this battle is going to be cultivating the whole time, I mean, to the point where I think there's a good chance you see both guys get some burn week one. I think they name a starter going into that game, but I think there's a good chance the guy who isn't the starter is going to get a number of opportunities, and not just like cleanup duty opportunities. Mm-hmm. But it is kind of tough, Reed, because you have to think of it this way. Neither of these guys have a bunch of experience to go back off of, right? So it is critical that they need as much experience as possible. So Coach DeBoer, I'm not going to lie, they have, him and his staff have a little bit of a tough situation, because it's like, how do you balance giving both guys opportunities to get the full picture on both players and giving them an equal opportunity without taking away too many reps from one or the other, knowing how important those reps and experience are, given that they haven't played a bunch. You see what I'm saying? Like it's really important you handle a quarterback battle the right way, if that makes sense.
It does, Christian. I know we're going to have to hit a break here in a minute, but just to kind of emphasize on your point and just kind of confirm to not only me but also Bama fans in general that it doesn't matter. Like, day one of camp is not that of course you want to have a good first impression, but that's not like the whole cake. Like, if one player way exceeds the other, that's not, end of story. Hey, you're starting quarterback. It's pretty much a battle between the entire, from day one to the last day of fall camp, correct?
1,000%. Yeah. And it's one of those things where, as a quarterback, and as we head to this break, I mean, that's a good point to hit on. It is so critical, Reed, that you don't allow certain moments dictate future moments. So what I mean by that is, quarterback, man, a lot of it is mental. Of course, pre-snap, post-snap, you're talking about, getting plays in, operating the offense, getting the protection right, all that stuff, right? Reading coverages, but also from a mental aspect, right? You got to have the ability to play the next play. You can't let things linger. I mean, that's important in all positions, but if you think about the quarterback spot, I mean, that was one thing that Ty Simpson really struggled with early on in his career. You would see him at practice. You could tell. I mean, he had a lot of potential, right? A lot of arm talent. The guy was, highly recruited for a reason. But one thing that really held him back was, he would kind of get in his head. He'd throw a pick at practice, and then he would kind of start, snowballing from there. So to answer your question, yeah, you can't. One bad play, one bad series, even one bad practice. The last thing you want to do is let that roll into the next day. Especially when I can speak on experience from even just competing as a linebacker spot. And that's not easy to do. There'd be days like I go out there, man, and I say I have a bad day pass rushing. I don't win as many reps as I want to. Trust me, dude, as a player and you're fighting for a job, dude, it's stressful. You go back to your dorm, man, you're sitting like, dang, man. I'm like, man, I had a mental error here. I had a bust here. Man, I got blocked up when we were doing one-on-ones. But the most important thing is you got to just turn the page, go back to work. You can't let it hold you back, especially as a quarterback. So it's going to be interesting, man. I think that could play a role in kind of who kind of emerges. Because I'm telling you right now, yeah, I mean, it's not. People always think it's a misconception. The most talented guy it's not always the most talented guy. There are a lot of factors, and even that can be one that kind of sneaks in there, right? Your ability to turn the page, especially like quarterback and also like cornerback. DB is the same kind of thing. You have to have a strong mentality when you play on that island. We'll talk about that and more and get to some of these articles. We'll be joined by Clint Lamb at the top of the hour. As we continue previewing fall camp 2026, Alabama will have their first practice tomorrow. And we'll hear from head coach Kalen DeBoer around this time live as
29. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We got plenty of questions that we're going to get to and discuss, Reed. I just want to hit on a couple more of our main points. I'll make it a lot quicker than that quarterback battle, even though that one was a big one. I feel like we had to talk about it. You mentioned the offensive line. I think it's almost more important, not even almost. In my opinion, I would rank the offensive line even more of an issue or question mark that needs an answer than the quarterback battle. Because I think both guys they can win you games. Right? I think they're going to have growing pains, either one you go with, but I think both are talented enough to give you what you need to be successful, right? I mean, because it could look a number of different ways, right? I mean, if you look at our time of playing here, and I know college football has changed dramatically since then, but when you have good defensive play, which we've had pretty solid defensive play, not perfect, there's definitely things that need to be fixed and addressed, pass rush, more consistency, stopping the run, getting back to force a few more turnovers. But defensively, we've been solid enough where, let's just say you even had a better running game. Quarterbacks don't always have to be Superman. I mean, half these championship winning quarterbacks, if you really look at a lot of championship teams, you study them, you'll see, I mean, a lot of the times, like, good quarterback play, don't get me wrong, but it's not that there's teams with like elite quarterback play, but the other pieces around them aren't where they need to be and they don't win. Versus a team that's well built, quarterback can be good to really good, and because the pieces around him are really good, he plays so much better and he has a lot more success. I mean, you can just look from whether it's pros, college, it's a very normal thing. That's why, to me, offensive line, yet another year, is the biggest question mark, in my opinion, because they're going to dictate so many things, Reed. Running game was historically bad last year. That's not me being mean. That is a fact. That literally is statistically a fact. That's got to be better. Right? It's got to be better. Why does it need to be better? Well, for so many reasons, right? You have a new starting quarterback that doesn't have much in-game experience, whoever you roll with. You have to take pressure off the quarterback. You look at last year, we talked about it, week after week. Too much pressure is being put on Ty Simpson. I mean, he's throwing the ball 30, 40 plus times a game with no running game. Defenses are sitting back. The edge guys are pinning their ears back, and they're getting after the quarterback. We're seeing 3 high safety looks. I mean, it literally was disrespectful at the end of the year, the way these defenses were pretty much just lining up saying, hey, we're daring you to run the ball. We know you can't, so we know you won't, and we're just going to sit back here and take away what was successful for you at one point in time, and that was those, cover 2 hole shots, the deep parts, the middle of the field on some of those deep digs, things like a lot. Once all that started getting taken away, Reed, it was like we had nothing. Right, so you got to be able to run the football better, and all that starts up front, right? We know that starts up front. A lot of new faces, a lot of youth there as well. A lot of new guys trying to gel together. How quickly can they get that chemistry built? How quickly can you find your starting 5? I think that's a big piece. That is something I'm going to be paying attention to. How quickly can you find your 5 best players? I know Coach DeBoer's talked about it. He said injuries played a big role in some of the substitutions that we saw at the offensive line position, but to me, that honestly was probably one of the biggest issues we had last year. How do you build continuity like that? I get it's inevitable when you have injuries, but some of it wasn't inevitable, and some of it was not inevitable. Some of it was we just were trying to just put guys here or there, see what worked. You shouldn't be midway through the season and still having those issues going on. Unless you have to. There's just that many injuries, which there were some, but how quickly can we figure that piece out? The good news is it seems like they're on track to doing that a little bit quicker this year. Sounds like they've got 3 guys, I would say, Reed, that they feel strongly about. Really feels like there's only 2 other positions. I'm not saying you can't still move guys around, because I think if you don't feel great about right tackle, you could end up moving Michael Carroll, who's at right guard, to right tackle, then you're moving someone. So it could get a little tricky again. Hopefully not, but how quickly does that come together? But then also the other piece, Reed, protection, right? Execution. I mean, those are all big question marks, and we know it's going to be important, which that goes back to the quarterback battle. If you're having an offensive line that's struggling to protect, you're seeing constant pressure. Does that impact who you feel more comfortable with, behind as the trigger man? On one end, you'd probably feel better about the more experienced guy because in terms of protections and doing these things and making sure those pieces are right. But then you got the young guy who's got a little bit more mobility that maybe you see some of that escapability that we saw out of guys like Jalen Milroe, right, that helps kind of save the day a little bit. That's why, to me, there's so many intriguing ways this could go, because I'm like, man, well, Keelan Russell, I mean, if he has that kind of save-the-day ability, Bryce Young wasn't a dual-threat guy, but he had that ability, right? Remember back in 2022, the ability to extend and create, he was kind of like a magician. I feel like looking at Keelan Russell, it's almost like smashing like Jalen Milroe's athletic escapability with like Bryce Young's maneuverability in the pocket almost, and it's like that could be a little special. And that might be something you have to lean into if the offensive line isn't necessarily where it needs to be. So offensive line play's got to be better. I mentioned, I think we went linebackers next, then running back. Linebacker play is going to be really important. Of course, there's question marks with the defensive line, but with so much depth, Reed, I feel like there's a little bit more confidence there, right? A little bit more confidence that we don't know exactly who's going to emerge. We have an idea on kind of who's going to be the guys. I mean, I think we can all agree. Devin Tompkins, you bring him in, you pay a, pretty nice premium to get him here from Southern Cal. I would imagine, right, even with the talent, to go with that, heavily dependent on him, heavily dependent on a guy like London Simmons, right? But then the question marks come in. Terrence Green, you bring him in to replace a guy like Tim Keenan at that nose spot. But then you also get Jeremiah Beeman, right? Like, he was a guy they were really high on last year. Where does he kind of come into the picture here with this deep room? Steve Boomwa, right? I mean, the potential seems to be through the roof. I mean, this dude is built like, I don't even know. He looks like he should be like in a movie, right?
I was going to say, yeah, I saw an updated picture, and I mean, that guy right there.
Is that legit?
I think it is.
Like on the track or something, or maybe I'm making, I don't know where he was at.
No, I think it was on the track, yeah.
What the hell is this dude eating? Or what are they feeding that man? It's like he's eating other men.
I don't know, but I was like, because I had to do a double take. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I thought it was AI for a second, but I mean, like, where does he fall? And then even like Edric Hill, a little bit on the undersized side of things, but I mean, he's got some potential. There's so many, guys up there I feel a bit better about, but inside linebacker, I mean, there's guys in that room, but we just have to see. They just don't have a bunch of experience outside of Caleb Woodson, which I think he's going to end up being a big piece. But yes, I got inside linebacker being next, because that's a big part. You feel really good about your secondary, but the signal callers, right? The guys that are, they're like the quarterbacks of the defense. So you got to be able to rely on those players. You need those guys to be able to step up and definitely do some good stuff for you. So I got them, and then of course the running backs. They did not execute the way you needed them to last year. Of course, it doesn't help having an offensive line that struggles the way ours did, but they've got to be able to create more, right? They've got to be able to and we saw Jam do that a little bit, right? And I think he was probably the best option to do some of that last year. He's now gone. I mean, I like Daniel Hill. I mean, I'm seeing the clips him working. I mean, he looks like he's dropped a few pounds. He's working on some like footwork and things like that could probably help him out. He's been running behind his pads a little bit more, which I feel like is something that's really going to be beneficial. I mean, when you're his size, man, you got to use it to your advantage. I mean, can he make strides, right? I think he will, but how much? I mean, I think some people need to slow down. They're just saying he's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher because these clips. I'm like, whoa. Like, I don't even think that makes sense based off of the volume, the lack of volume, because we throw the ball so much. And also you're talking about the number of guys in that running back room, right? So I think that's a little unrealistic. I wouldn't set him up with those expectations, but I think he'll be better. But then Crowell, haven't seen a bunch of him yet. But the way people have been talking about him, how much of an impact can he have his freshman year? He's going to have an impact. Coach DeBoer has already talked about it. He mentioned that media day. But how big is that impact going to be for a guy that should be a senior in high school? Ryan Williams had a significant one, in a very similar situation. Can E.J. Crowell have the same? I think so. We'll have to see, though. We'll be looking out for that. And then what was our fifth one, last but not least? The wide receivers. Yeah. They look good during the spring. A little bit of a thinner room, especially now that Rodgers is out with that injury. But there's definitely young potential in there. They look good during the spring. But I think it's more of a question to me. The reason I throw them in that equation, Reed, is Ryan Coleman Williams. I think he's going to be a large piece and large key to that offense. If Ryan can emerge and build off of the Ryan that we saw his true freshman year, right, which, I mean, he was just making spectacular plays. I mean, you saw the body control. I mean, just like the yards after the catch ability, we all know that. I mean, this guy is special. I mean, he's easily a 1K wide receiver, especially in this offense. Can he find a way to eliminate the inconsistencies? Can he get rid of so many drops, right, and be that wide receiver one that we all know that he has a potential at being? if that ends up being true, which I think he's set for a big year, Reed, I think that changes a lot with this offense. I think that opens the door for many more explosive plays. I mean, you're talking about him, Latsier, Brooks, some guys that can take the top off the defense. We didn't see a bunch of that last year. Hopefully that comes back this year. I think that'd be huge. But I got to throw them in the equation. Because Ryan Coleman-Williams, where you get the Ryan Coleman-Williams that we think he can be, and then also the depth there. Guys like Rico Scott, right? C.D. Morgan, I think, we'll see a lot of him. I mentioned Rico Scott, but other tall guy. Drawing a blank. There you go, Meadows, right? How does that receiver room kind of shake out? And then, like I said, the depth. Because you got to have some depth there, right? Injuries are a thing. Knock on wood. Hopefully we don't have many, but who steps up, right, when their number is called? That's definitely a valid question for that room. So, all right, we've addressed all our biggest question marks. Now we're going to hit some from these articles from you guys in the chat. We'll go back and find those. And at the top of the hour, we got Clint Lamb. We'll address them with him from Bama Online, right?
Tuscaloosa Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. Tuscaloosa's destination for iconic Jeeps. Owner loyalty earns $1,500 cash back on a new 2026 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of The Game, we'll talk to Brooks Austin, the film guy, as we'll look ahead to Alabama's first practice at that point, hours away from training camp starting at the University of Alabama. We'll have complete coverage starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and 1230 a.m. WTBC. And streaming worldwide on the free Tide app.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
It's quick, it's easy, and it's free. Go to mylocalcustomers.com today.
That's mylocalcustomers.com. mylocalcustomers.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Sunny skies, comfortable temperatures, low humidity 91 this afternoon. Gentle northwest breeze. We head into tonight, and the mugginess starts to creep back in. Partly cloudy, low 73. Wednesday, sunny, hot 93. A small chance of an afternoon shower. Thursday, sunny, climbing to 94. And we stay in the mid-90s as we wrap up the week on Friday with sunshine in the forecast. Richard Wedding of the Weather Channel for Town Square Media Tuscaloosa.
It's 86 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Want to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Download the Tide 100.9 app today.
Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We only got a few minutes where we have Clint Lamb join us. So let's pull up one of these articles real quick and just kind of skim through it. And we'll start with this one. It's called Breaking Free. And I think Andrew Bone picked 6 players that are poised to make an impact, right? So I think this is a good one to start with, and we'll kind of skim through the other ones as we go. Read the first one we got here. 6 players that he feels like can break free. Number 1 on the list is a little small. Let me make that bigger for you guys. Jackson Lloyd. It reads, Alabama needs Lloyd to secure a breakout player role for the offense to succeed this year. listen, we know how important the offensive line needs to, to improve, how important that is. I agree with them. That would be huge. A few growing pains are expected for a first-time starter. Protecting the blind side wasn't much of a battle for the spot vacated by Caden Proctor. It's either the confidence they have in Lloyd. Bear in mind, they saw him in practice every day last year playing behind Proctor. So I will say I was not a fan of naming him a starter so early during the spring. I just, even if you know that as a staff, you know what I mean? Like, you don't issue that publicly, because I just think that just doesn't send the best message to not only the backups but also him. But at the end of the day, to Andrew's point, yeah, they knew what they probably had in him, and I get it. But I would have just let it just play out, right? I want as much competition as possible. But I think that's a great pick right there, Reed. I mean, because left tackle, that's the quarterback's blind side, and he's replacing the first rounder. I get it. Proctor was not perfect, but he was much better his final season last year than he had been in years past. And so anytime you replace the first round talent, that's a big deal. So that's definitely a good one. Rico Scott. We just talked a little bit about the depth at wide receiver, other guys that need to step up, right? It can't just be one or two guys. You want to see other guys step up when their number is called. I think Rico Scott is kind of poised for a bigger impact. He had a nice A-Day. Second scrimmage, he struggled a little bit. I think he had a few drops in that one, if I remember correctly. But, I mean, this dude, if you've seen him, he's built, man. I mean, dude I've heard he's one of the fastest guys on the team. He's got all these tools, man. I think it's just a matter of putting it together. And if he can, of course, you never want anybody to go down, but sometimes those circumstances end up kind of boosting you a little bit or offering you newer opportunities. And with the injury to Noah Rogers, of course, C.D. Morgan, Derek Meadows, especially at the X position. But I would imagine that's probably going to help Rico get a few more opportunities. What can he make of those? Hopefully a lot, because I think he's got the tools to work with. Marshall Pritchett, they got him on this list. We all know, right, that you're going to see two other tight ends really taking majority of those reps, right? Josh Ford, the physicality that he brings, I think it's important, especially if you go watch our breakdown on the running game, just how much we lacked out of the tight end room in terms of helping out with the running game. So I think he'll be an improvement there. Then, of course, Caleb Edwards, I think he's a great athlete, a guy that showed that he can be reliable in the passing game, right? But Marshall Pritchett, you still need extra bodies, right? Some extra depth. And he's a guy that had a good spring and I think has been developing nicely. Remember, he had that injury not too long ago, but he seems to be back to full health. Think he could, I don't know if I would coin him as like a breakout player, but I would say he definitely feels like he's got some upside to him that could end up flourishing a little bit in the opportunities he gets. I think it just depends on how many opportunities he sees, since he's expected to be more of that third tight end. Kendrick Bingley-Jones, I don't know if I would label him a breakout player, but I do think he's a guy that can contribute significantly among the defensive line, especially with the experience he has, filling in at that nose spot, maybe a little bit of tackle play as well. Losing Tim Keenan, I think that'll help out having him there, him and Green from Oregon. And then the last two, Ivan Taylor, I'm in full agreement with that one, Reed. That would probably be one of my top picks. I think he's a guy that's going to be fighting for more playing time. He's going to be on the heels of some of those guys in front of him, even though we have all those guys returning. I think he's a hell of an athlete. We've seen a lot out of him that shows the potential that he has. And I think it's going to be hard to keep him off the football field. And last but not least, Abdul Sanders, a guy that we saw take some first-team reps in scrimmage number 2, right? A little unexpected there, but who knows? Maybe you have a dark horse candidate like him. Again, I don't know if I'll list him as a breakout candidate, but somebody to keep an eye on for sure. We got to hit this top hour break. When we come back, we keep previewing fall camp. We'll be joined by Clint Lamb of Bama Online right here on this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles,
Here's Steve DeSager.
The St. Louis Cardinals won at Yankee Stadium 13-7. Alec Burleson with 3 homers, 6 RBIs. Philadelphia sent Washington to a 6th straight loss, 6-3. Phil's now 2 games over the Padres for the last NL wildcard spot. San Diego was beaten in the late game 5-1 at Arizona. Tampa Bay is the first place team in the AL East, now by 3.5 games over the Yankees. Rays won 13-9 at Colorado. Junior Caminero with 2 home runs. He has 32 this year. San Francisco won 5-1 at Texas. The Rangers, who committed 5 errors, have 6 losses in a row. Toronto snapped Houston's 6-game winning streak 3-1. The Cubs sent the Dodgers to a 4th straight loss 10-5. Pittsburgh held on 4-3 at Milwaukee. The Red Sox got catcher Adley Rutschman in trade from Baltimore. Seattle got outfielder Taylor Ward from Baltimore. The trade deadline was at 6 p.m. Eastern.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites, from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info on marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa, call 205-345-7200 or click on Advertise with Us on our website.
Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform driveways and parking lots with expert repairs, new paving, or resurfacing. Fast, durable, and family-owned quality that you can trust. Don't let small issues turn into big expenses. Call 205-393-9149 for your free estimate today. That's 205-393-9149. Asphalt Restoration, where smooth roads start. Roll Tide. Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I want to tell you about our great friends over at Brian Harding Construction. Located in the heart of Tuscaloosa, Brian Harding Construction is woman-owned and strong as steel. A specialty manufacturing firm with expertise in structural steel fabrication, ASME code piping and vessels, CNC machine work, welding, laser cutting, pipe fitting, industrial maintenance, and crane rentals. With a proven track record of over 30-plus years of experience, no one is better fit for the job. For an evaluation, contact Brian Harding Construction today at 205-752-9611. Again, that's Brian Harding Construction at 205-752-9611. 9611.
And knocked down again. That was Christian Miller.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with 4-time SEC champion and 2-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here is college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC now are joined by our guest, Clint Lamb of Bama Online. I'm going to have to get used to that. I'm going to keep saying it until it's sticking with me. We got Clint Lamb of Bama Online joining us as fall camp officially kicks off today. Now, it is orientation day, as we call it. It's report day. We're treating like school is orientation day. First practice is tomorrow, but Clint, man, good Tuesday to you. I mean, I know you're fired up, man. Number one, big congratulations on the new gig. That's awesome. I love that you're keeping the content coming the same way, just a different platform and maybe even a little bit more in some regards. But congratulations on that, man. Good Tuesday to you.
I appreciate you saying that, Christian. Yeah, it's going to be a good season. Obviously, anytime you go this long without football, I mean, I think we're all itching for it. So hoping to start getting some some new information starting tomorrow, and really excited to react to it, man. I appreciate you saying that once again.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, looking forward to a good football season, man. We got plenty to dive into and talk to. Like you mentioned, first practice is tomorrow. We're going over our fall camp preview, kind of just running through our biggest question marks that we're going to be paying attention to. We're going to get into some, position battles here in a moment. And I know we've talked about it kind of leading up to this, but since we're 1 day away officially from the start, what would your if you had to name 3 to 5 like main question marks that you want addressed during fall camp? Just give you mine real quick. I went offensive line. I think that's probably the most important one. Quarterback battle, we know that's a big one. I went inside linebackers, running back room, and then last but not least, I threw in the D-line, just trying to see kind of where those guys emerge. And then I think an honorary mention could be maybe just like the depth at wide receiver. What about you, Clint? Like tomorrow with the first practice, what are those main concerns or question marks you're most looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is the offensive line. I think running back is a really important position because, Trayshawn Brown could be a guy who surprises all of us and gets into the mix in year one. It could be Kevin Riley who takes a step forward. It could be Daniel Hill who takes another step forward and kind of maintains his spot atop the depth chart. Maybe E.J. Crowell is ready to be that guy. Maybe A.K. Deere makes a big year 2 leap. There's just so many options there, and I do think there will be some rotation, but just learning the pecking order, yes, it's probably going to be some sort of committee approach, at least early on, and then maybe that will, it'll sort itself out, but that would be the next one for me. And then defensively, I think off-ball linebacker is certainly one. I think the coaching staff likes a lot of the players there. I've been talking to some people recently, and I just think Luke Metz is a guy they're really high on. They really like Abdul Sanders. They like QB Reese. Obviously, Caleb Woodson's going to be probably your Mike, your green dot, every down type of linebacker. They like Duke Johnson. They like Caden Jones. So overall, they just really like that room. And there for a while, I think I looked through the off-ball linebackers through the lens of, this is going to be a 3-man rotation because that's what it was in the first 2 years under Kane Wommack. But I really started diving into his previous stops, whether it be as a head coach at South Alabama, whether it be as a defensive coordinator at Indiana or the defensive coordinator at South Alabama. And pretty much each and every year, he has had bare minimum or did have bare minimum 4 to 6, all the way up to 6 different players who were seeing well north of 100 snaps in a given season. And so looking at it through that lens and looking at all these potential options, maybe you see 4. I would have a hard time going 5 or 6, but they do have several capable options. So figuring out who's not only going to be the starter next to Caleb Woodson, but what's the rotation going to look like, how many guys are going to be involved there, that's going to be something I'm going to be keeping an eye on as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm curious to see the inside linebacker room. There's so many different guys, and like I like QB Reese a lot, but then you see the size limitations that he has. Just kind of wondering how that's going to translate because we've seen him get some time. I think he played a little bit against Indiana. I think he did fine, but just knowing that he's an undersized kind of guy, like how does that look? What are those limitations going to be with him there, right? You got other guys, like you mentioned, Luke Metz. I know Ruben has come on my show and talked about how he loves Luke Metz, right? So I think there's some optimism there, but just seeing kind of how this picture plays out is definitely going to be interesting. How about some position battles, Clint? I know that kind of goes hand in hand a little bit, but if there are any specific position battles and maybe between certain guys, even if it's not necessarily for a starting role, but maybe even just as like that next guy up or next guy in spot. Let's start with the offense. Any main battles that you're going to be paying attention to?
Yeah, obviously you're typically going to start in 11 personnel. Now, Alabama this year with Josh Ford and Caleb Edwards, it's possible that they go a lot of 12, especially to open up games. But, I'm looking at that wide receiver 3 role, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be? Is it going to be Derek Meadows? Do we see Darian Morgan? Rico Scott is a name that continues to pop up, and he has been the guy who I really liked him last offseason. And he's still that player. Granted, I think just his role over the course of this past season, it kind of started to diminish a little bit. But he can play the Z. He can play inside. He's got some physicality. We know that he's got a lot of pure natural athleticism. So, maybe he ends up being that wide receiver 3. The reason I've leaned towards Meadows and Morgan is just those two guys bring the mismatch problem as far as the size and the length. And so, just looking at Ryan Coleman-Williams and Latsir Brooks, Rico Scott feels in some ways, just from at least a height length standpoint, kind of a similar mold in that sense. But that would certainly be one that I'd be looking at. I think right tackle is a very intriguing battle. Javen James obviously has the leg up in that competition, but I don't think Nick Brooks is going away. One guy that I've consistently mentioned throughout the offseason that I absolutely love is Tyrell Miller. Now, there's some rawness to his game, but the athleticism, the size, height-length combination, he's certainly got a tackle build, certainly has the tackle athleticism. Just don't know if he'll be ready to go in 2026 or not, but that is someone who, over the course of the season, maybe he starts getting into the mix there if there are any struggles at right tackle. But that's certainly one I'm going to be keeping an eye on. And then at left guard is the other one where it's like, Will Sanders feels like the favorite to me. I know the staff really likes Mal Waldrop. We know Ethan Fields has done some good things. They got some praise from the coaching staff. So while I still lean Sanders overall, it could go in a number of different directions, and who ends up winning that job could end up impacting the offensive line quite a bit. So that's going to be another one I'm going to be keeping an eye on.
Sticking with the offensive line real quick, Clint, I'm curious your thoughts. So how would you label it right now going into camp? Would you say there's like a sure 3 guys penciled in, maybe Jackson Lloyd at left tackle, Del Gotti at center, and Michael Carroll right guard as of now? Would you agree with that, or do you feel like it's a little bit more open? Because, you mentioned a number of guys that kind of all are intriguing and could probably line up at different spots. Like you mentioned right tackle. Well, we know Michael Carroll can play it, right? If they're not, confident what they're getting at that position, he could always kick back out, and you're having more of a competition again at guard. But where would you say they're at right now? Would you say 3 guys penciled in as starters right now going into camp? Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think you got 1 guard and 1 tackle spot. And there are a lot of intriguing options there. Now, granted, like I said, I think if I had to guess, I think it's going to be Javen James. It's going to be Will Sanders. But there are enough competitors there where, nothing has been solidified yet. Both of those 2 positions, Sanders has just got to get back out there and prove that, some of the inconsistency problems that he might have had just because he simply wasn't ready as a redshirt freshman in 2025 have been resolved or at least somewhat alleviated since he's been able to get back on the field. For Javen James, that's a competition that he had a lot of inconsistency problems at Mississippi State. Now, he was still acclimating to the SEC, was kind of getting more comfortable strictly playing right tackle in the spring. He had played both left and right for Mississippi State and for Akron. And so getting him settled in, maybe he continues to take some steps forward. But it's just, those are 2 spots where if you were trying to get into the starting lineup, nothing has been solidified across the board. But I think enough guys have been kind of penciled in where, you have some guys with some continuity there that can go ahead and start building some of that continuity alongside left guard and right tackle.
Switching over to the defensive side. Again, we're joined by Clint Lamb of Bama Online on On3. Make sure you guys check him out there. His new platform that he's working with. Again, that's Bama Online On3. Clint, looking at the defense, I know there's some battles that, the secondary, you feel like you're pretty much penciled in. You got to start penciled in almost every spot, it feels like. But there's some guys like Ivan Taylor or even Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., guys that you feel like could maybe emerge at some point. Of course, we talked about the linebackers. I'm sure, that's the battle that everybody's probably going to be paying attention to mostly. Within the defensive line, a lot of depth there. Who steps up? What are the, key battles you're paying attention to on the defensive side?
Well, I think it's kind of more situational type of stuff. Like, I want to know who's playing bandit when Devin Tompkins slides inside, right? I want to see, if they ask Jan Pierre to play some bandit, who's going to be coming in. We think it's going to be Justin Hill, but it could also be, hey, if it's 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 10, could it be an Xavier Griffin as a true freshman? Can Jamarian Matthews, who is a player that they have reported, I think Andrew Bone with Yale, Alabama, he reported that Matthews is maybe a little bit further along than they were anticipating that he would be. Can he get into the mix, whether it be at Bandit or at Wolf? Like, these are all questions that I have. What does Jamarian Latham look like coming back from that neck injury? Do they have him playing Bandit? Do they have him playing Wolf? I think personally he's going to play Bandit and be kind of a rotational piece with Des Zulu whenever Devin Thompson does slide inside. But, is Latham getting some inside opportunities as well? He did that previously, and I think he did a pretty good job there. So that'll be something that I'm keeping an eye on. What does it look like as far as that 6 defensive back in dime packages? So typically what they like to do, it's not your 4-1-6 type of look. It's more of a 2-3-5 where your Wolf is still going to be on the field as your primary pass rusher. you're taking one of your off-ball linebackers and putting them on the line of scrimmage. You typically are sliding your bandit inside to one of those interior spots, having one, interior defensive lineman out there, and then you're putting 6 defensive backs in the field, pulling Bray Hubbard usually down from safety to linebacker. You're moving Xavier Brown at times last year inside the Husky, taking Red Morgan off the field. So you'd have Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown, and Bijan Lee on the field all together. And then you bring in Zay Mincy to play alongside Keon Sabb at safety. Well, in particular, I'd be looking at that other safety spot. And does it continue to be Zay Mincy? Is it Ivan Taylor? I mean, I'm telling you, everybody I've talked to have ranted and raved about Ivan Taylor. And I'm not going to go as far as to say he's going to take or threaten Keon Sabb's starting job in the lineup. But I do think that he is going to be a much bigger part of Alabama's rotation on the back end than a lot of people realize. And so I think at this point, if I had to guess, he's going to be that 6th defensive back on the field, probably taking Zay Mincy's spot. And so that's just, it's all about more sub-package and things like that. Granted, I think, Kedrick Beanley-Jones, does he play nose? Does he play the 3-tech tackle? What is the pecking order like? Like, those are all questions that we have up front. But I think sub-package and kind of when they're moving some of these primary starters around, that's the more intriguing conversations on that side of the football right now.
No, I definitely agree. Clint, Alabama took in a pretty large portal class looking to replace a number of players on this roster. When you look at the guys that they did bring in, who do you feel like, if you had to name maybe 2 or 3 guys from their portal class, there's probably more, but if you had to limit that to 2 or 3, who do you feel ends up having the biggest impact in this 2026 season that Alabama brought in via the transfer portal?
Oh, that is such a great question. I think it's got to start with Devin Tompkins. I've heard too many good things. I think him adding, he was 290 this past season for USC, playing pretty much strictly inside. Now he's weighing in at 298, or at least that's the last we had heard with the spring roster update, and he's going to be playing some of his snaps on the outside. So I think having him in more of that versatile role where he won't be asked to hold up at the point of attack on the inside on early downs and stuff, allowing him to kind of play, use his length and stuff over a tackle or a tight end, allowing him to kind of slide inside when it suits him and where he can actually win with the way that he can get after the quarterback. You just got to think that he's going to be up there. I think other guys who are in that conversation would be like a Caleb Woodson, being kind of that every down Mike linebacker for you. I think on offense, Racing Delgatti. I mean, that center position is really important, and considering all that's up in the air as far as the offensive line, having that good communicator like, a Parker Brelsford or a Racing Delgatti there in the middle to try to get everybody on the same page, I think that's going to be critically important, but it can't be all about the communication. You've got to be able to get SEC guys blocked, and Delgatti has done a fantastic job, not only back in the spring, but really throughout the entire offseason, of getting bigger and stronger and learning the offense. And I just think he's going to be kind of that, that leader that you need at that position. And so that impacted, not only is it going to be felt from a blocking standpoint, hopefully, but I think there will be another element of an impact that is being made from a communication standpoint that helps everything run a little bit more smooth for whoever ends up starting at quarterback. And then the one that I think might be like the most underrated that even I kind of just forgot about as I was rattling it off, and now I'm like, I kind of want to put him somewhere up there in the top 2 or 3, is Josh Ford. I just think based off of where you were struggling last year as far as tight end blocking, C-gap blocking, getting guys blocked out on the perimeter, Ford can handle a lot of those responsibilities. The staff is obviously sky high on him, but so are the players. And I just think that, as high as I've been on Caleb Edwards, I don't want to completely rule out the possibility that Josh Ford is Alabama's starting tight end in 2026. Not saying it's going to happen, but I just think that he has made that type of impact, and what he brings to the table, it's needed. So Josh Ford would certainly be in that conversation as well.
You mentioned Josh Ford in that tight end room. I saw Andrew Bone. He was listing in an article some of the breakout candidates, and he had listed Marshall Pritchard, which I was like, I don't know if I would list him as a breakout candidate just because I expect Josh Ford and Caleb Edwards to get so much attention in that room, and probably it's going to limit the number of reps you see from a guy like Pritchard. Granted, I think you see some of them for sure, but how big of an impact do you think a guy like Pritchard could have? I mean, he had a really good spring. I know they're really high on him as well, but given the guys you just mentioned already in that tight end room, what would your thoughts or outlook be on a guy like Marshall Pritchard?
I like Pritchett a lot, yeah. And I think that if you are getting the blocking element from forward, I think Edwards right now, if I had to, label him as one or the other, I think he's got a balanced, outlook. But I would probably say he's more, catch first than block first, but he certainly got upside as a blocker. Pritchett brings enough, traits as a blocker. He shows a willingness to kind of get guys blocked. I'm sure he's gotten bigger and stronger and should improve on that front. But I'm also looking at Danny Lewis, and he's the one that, granted, I'm going to put Marshall Pritchett there at tight end 3. I do think he is going to get some level of volume in the passing game. I think he can help you out as far as the blocking. But Danny Lewis is the one that, between Ford, Edwards, and Pritchett, that's 3 guys. Lewis, he was supposed to be that big body blocker this past season, and it was because of injuries that he wasn't able to do that. He ends up sticking around. He doesn't enter the transfer portal. They had actually talked him out of the transfer portal the year before last. And so I don't know what his health's going to look like. And if he is healthy, where does he fit into the mix? And how can he kind of cut in? Now, granted, if they're getting what they need to from a blocking standpoint from Ford and Edwards, I think from a pass-catching standpoint, the more complementary option would be Pritchett. And maybe you can go a little bit bigger as far as more 12 and 13 personnel, but have that pass-catching element. I don't know, maybe Danny Lewis kind of settles in as tight end 4 and doesn't see a big role, but maybe he helps out. But, it's a really deep room. I like all those guys. I think Jay Lindsey has been a guy that the staff has kind of liked how he's come along. And so I don't think the national media is talking about tight end for Alabama enough and how much better that can be for them this upcoming season, especially when you look at the loss of Josh Cuevas, who I think was a featured piece in their offense this past season. You just assume there's going to be some level of drop-off, and I think based off of what they're looking for, it could end up being much, much improved, which could have a huge impact on the offense as a whole.
We're joined by Clint Lamb of Bama Online and On 3. Make sure you guys check out all his work over there on the new platform. Again, big shout out to Clint, and congrats on his new gig over there, still pumping out that same great content, just a different platform. Clint, one last question. Got to save the best for last, man. Quarterback battle. How do you see it playing out in the sense of not necessarily who's going to be named the starter, but as we go into fall camp, we know, this is going to be a very competitive one. You got 2 guys that both have showcased the ability to make plays, operate the offense and really make an impact when they're in there. Do you feel like this is a battle that we see, maybe a starter named before the end of fall camp? I know Coach DeBoer has kind of alluded to that. He'd rather have one named sooner than later. Do you see it, I guess leading into the season a little bit, maybe both guys playing a little bit in week 1? Kind of what are your expectations for this quarterback battle that's very highly anticipated?
I'll put it this way. I think that based off of what you saw when the lights came on A-Day from Keelan Russell, and the fact that I think that even surprised the coaching staff a little bit with how well he performed, if you are leaning Austin Mack, I don't see a scenario where you enter the season and at least don't check and see if Keelan's just that type of gamer each and every week, because you might be thinking, hey, the Austin Mack right now is just the better option for us. But then once the lights come on, much in the same way as A-Day, which is different, and I get that, but maybe Keelan ends up being the better option that you have. So that would be my approach, unless, Austin is just clear in a way your better option. Now, with that being said, I do think it's going to go close to the season, bare minimum. I just think right now, I do not think Kalen DeBoer knows which way he's leaning. I've heard people in that building that said they feel like it's going to be Keelan. I've heard others who are just as much in the know that say, I feel like right now it's going to be Austin Mack. And so this is going to be a very important fall camp for both guys. But as I've continuously said, I feel like that as you work your way through this process each and every week, Austin's going to be getting better as well. Do not get me wrong. But Keelan's the one that I think can take the giant steps throughout the course of fall camp. And so where is he going to be 4 weeks from now compared to where he's at right now? That's going to be something to monitor for sure. I ultimately think Keelan is going to be the starter, but do not count Austin Mack out of this competition. It is far from decided.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. It just seems like his upside and ceiling is just a little bit more of maybe what you'd feel good about if you're trying to make a run and some of the playmaking ability that he offers. But like you said, you can't count a guy out like Austin Mack because he's definitely very talented in his own right. Getting a little overlooked just because of how talented Keelan Russell is. But I think we're in for a very, very competitive battle. It's going to be fun to watch over the next few weeks. Clint, I appreciate you joining us, man. Great stuff as always. Again, congrats one last time on the new gig. And I know we'll probably cross paths up here with practices and stuff going on. So I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to a fun season to cover some Alabama football, man. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, just remind everybody about the new spot where they can find all the good work that you're doing.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. You can find me at Clint R. Lamb personally. I'm over on the Bama Online message board, the Roundtable message board now. Great conversations happening over there. A lot of this that I enjoy doing with people on Twitter or during live shows on the YouTube channel. Just having a message board is a great place to go to kind of keep those conversations going. So definitely would suggest subscribing over at Bama Online, and also get on over to wherever you listen to your podcast, watch your YouTube, videos. Just search Bama Online or Bama Online Podcast. It should pull it up, and hit that subscribe button and follow us along over there. We're still going to have the same video content pretty much that we did before, but now we're adding a lot more to it. So once again, Christian, I appreciate you as always, and I look forward to next week, brother.
Yes, sir. Sounds like a plan, man. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, man. Sounds good, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good deal. Our guy, Clint Lamb of Bama Online, joining us on this Talking Tuesday. Big thanks to him for doing that. Again, like you heard him, check him out on the new platform over there for everything that they've got coming your way. With football season pretty much here, training camp starting today. Official practice number 1 kicking off tomorrow. We'll keep talking about it right here on the Miller's Edge. Plus, we got to talk about the coaches poll that just got released. I see you guys tagged us in it. We'll talk about it. We'll take a look at it and keep it rolling right here on this.
Trusted by clients like Royal Cup Coffee and Tea, proud supporters of Crimson Tide, the Boss Company, one partner for everything your business needs.
Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform driveways and parking lots with expert repairs, new paving, or resurfacing. Fast, durable, and family-owned quality that you can trust. Don't let small issues turn into big expenses. Call 205-393.
Save 25% on the new Comfort Next Luxe for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama, we are here treating patients from every generation
across the United States
and from around the world. We're here for the rookies and the dreamers trying to make a name for themselves. We are here for the achievers
who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers, and mentors
who are
of the Crimson Tide, sold in stadium and at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit Lamparello-law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Proud partner.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Sunny skies, comfortable temperatures, low humidity 91 this afternoon. Gentle northwest breeze. We head into tonight, and the mugginess starts to creep back in. Partly cloudy, low 73. Wednesday, sunny, hot 93. A small chance of an afternoon shower. Thursday, sunny, climbing to 94. And we stay in the mid-90s as we wrap up the week on Friday with sunshine in the forecast. Richard Wedding at the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 87 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama fans are all over the world, and we are too. Download the Tide 100.9 app right now in the App Store and Google Play, and take the Crimson Tide everywhere you go.
Real quick on this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tower 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick segment here as we catch up again. Big thanks to Clint Lamb, who joins us on the show top of the hour on Tuesdays, right here, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTB. So let's hit some of these chats that we have here. Can y'all talk about how important the tight end is in run blocking? Yeah, so if you haven't, man, go check out our run game breakdown that I posted here on the YouTube channel. It really went into detail on the tight ends and kind of the lack of execution that we saw from them in the running game. You know, a lot of times, I mean, tight ends, they're your best blocker, especially nowadays. Everybody just wants the football. But you have to find a way, right? Even if it's just being a good position blocker, I mean, you have to find a way to get your job done. And it's not always easy because sometimes those tight ends are lined up and they have a big six technique in front of them. A guy like, Devin Tompkins, who's 298. I mean, when he's at Bandit, there's times he's going to be lining up on a tight end. That's a mismatch physically, right? Even if you have a guy that's 250 at tight end, a 298-pound defensive lineman in front of you, Reed, I mean, that's a tough task, right? And then you have to remember this. You know, Caleb Edwards was a true freshman last year. I know where I was at as a true freshman. Now, granted, physically, he was way ahead of me, right? I remember seeing Caleb Edwards because he enrolled during the summer, and my brother was working like the recruiting weekend with them and doing some DJing for him. And I remember seeing him. I'm like, dang, that's like the young tight end we just brought in. I mean, dude's every bit of 6'6", and he was every bit of at least 250. He's listed like 266 right now, I think. But at that time, he was at least 250, if not more. When I got here, I mean, I was 6'3", like 205, 210, maybe, right? It's a big difference there, but still, my point in being, he was bigger already, Reed. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he was only 18, maybe 19. And you still are growing and developing, right? Like from a strength standpoint. So, you know, you try not to like, of course, you're going to be tough from a, breakdown perspective because, hey, I mean, if you're on the field, you got to get the job done. But you kind of expect him to not be quite what maybe, C.J. Dupree, who was, what was he, like a fourth-year guy last time he was here, right? I mean, he's 22 years old. Physically, he's more developed. He's stronger. It's a little bit different there. So I think they'll be better in that aspect. But in terms of the role of tight ends in run blocking is very important. You know, it only takes one person not doing their job that can lead to negative plays, lead to just really, a lack of success, especially in the running game. And you'll see that on my breakdown. I mean, there's constant, leakage off the backside because we weren't really securing that C gap with our tight end. So hopefully that can be better because that played a role. Now, was it the whole picture or the whole issue? No, I mean, guard play was a problem. Not getting enough, push, right? Not getting enough movement, a problem. Miscommunications, a problem. But yes, people often overlook the tight ends in the running game, and you shouldn't because it is very important. We got to hit a timeout. When we come back, we keep on rolling, keep previewing fall camp as we look forward to practice number 1 tomorrow. And we'll hear from head coach Kalen DeBoer following practice live here on the show. Right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're open on the phone lines, I believe, if you guys have any questions. As we get you guys ready for fall camp, hit us up, 205-342-9904. We'll do that and discuss some more when we come back right here, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama, we are here treating patients from every generation
across the United States
and from around the world. We're here for the rookies and the dreamers, trying to make a name for themselves. We are here for the achievers,
who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers, and mentors
who are
love at first sight. And it's always no work and all play at Silver Star and Golden Moon Casinos. So come on, leave it all behind and head to Pearl River Resort.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy.
The universe seems bigger. You feel different. You feel like you have no idea where you are. Audible. Stories that speak to you.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites, from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info on marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa, call 205-345-7200 or click on Advertise with Us on our website.
The best station in the state, breaking down Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, let's keep on rolling with our fall camp preview. Again, we bringing up some of these articles from over on Yay, Alabama, talked about some potential breakout candidates. We talked with Clint Lamb, got his thoughts. We gave our overall thoughts. 205-342-9904 is the number. If you guys want to give y'all's thoughts, we did ask Clint the question, top transfer portal additions, Reed. I feel like I want to stick with that for a second. That was a question that I feel like definitely gave Clint a little bit of trouble trying to narrow it down to two or three. I want to ask you that question now, right? Now, Alabama brought in a number of players via the transfer portal to answer a number of questions, to fill a number of holes. So it is tough, right? It's tough to narrow it down to three. I'll let you pull that list up. As you do that, I'll give you my three, then I'll let you answer. Number one for me, I'm not going to say number 1, 2, or 3. I'm just going to say my 3 because I feel like it's hard to even do that. So it's going to be even harder to just go to rank them. I would say, like Clint mentioned, Devin Tompkins, I think, is a big one. I know you have depth in that defensive line room, but to me, I feel like he's kind of replacing two people. I feel like he's kind of replacing LT Overton to an extent. I feel like he's kind of replacing James Smith, who transferred to Ohio State, because he's going to be playing inside and out. So you're going to see him in both of those roles. So I feel like he's kind of replacing two guys. I know you brought in Terrence Green and Bingley Jones, but to me, those guys are more in that nose role. That's more of like that Tim Keenan void. I'm not saying Bingley Jones could probably play a little bit of that tackle, especially on early downs. And that's, passing downs when you see, Devin Tompkins kick in a little bit more on the inside. Not saying he won't do it on early downs. We will some. But to me, it's like you lost a lot of, I can't necessarily say production, right? There's a lot of, pressure production from LT Overton and really just overall production. He was very productive up front. You lose a lot from him. James Smith didn't have the most production, but I guarantee you he would have had a lot of production if he returned. I mean, the dude's got day one NFL type upside. He does. I know people, want to say what they want to say because he decided to transfer, but he's got that type of ability. And I think if he would have come back here to Tuscaloosa, I think you would have gotten a lot more out of him personally. So I think Devin Tompkins is a big one. Caleb Woodson, with all the other inexperience in the room, and he's the signal caller of the defense. I mean, you need him to be that dude, right? Because there's a lot of question marks in that linebacker room. And from a leadership standpoint, from a command standpoint, just overall, just playing the position standpoint, I think Caleb Woodson is a guy that you really want to, to hit on, right? Because I think his play can help kind of bring up the play of the younger guys that also you're going to have to lean on. So I think that's going to be a really big one. Josh Ford, we talked about tight end play has to be better, need more physicality, especially in the run game. I think he's going to help provide that. Got to throw him on there. So those would probably be my three. And then, of course, the offensive line play is kind of hard to not mention that. So I don't know if you can really choose three, but I'm just going to group all of them as a whole, Reed. And I say all of them, I'm saying the guys we brought in, because Rayson Delgatti replacing Parker Brailsford, that's a big one. But then also at right tackle, right? Javen James. Now, if you left Michael Carroll there, you'd be thinking, all right, who's going to come in at right guard? Maybe Ethan Fields. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just going to put them all together. Like, that offensive line has to come. Maybe I should drop one of those guys. Maybe I drop one of the guys I mentioned, just throw offensive line in there because that's that important. Then last but not least, the kicker, Lorcan Quinn. I think special teams wise, that could end up paying dividends.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, so no, you kind of touched on a little bit of mine. I think Devin Tompkins won. We just have to solidify something on that defensive line, some improvement, like you said, trying to fill in those gaps of those players that are departing. Then number two, I think it is Rayson Delgatti. Now, might he have the highest talent out of some of this group? Maybe not, but I mean, you need a guy that has taken over for Parker Brailsford to run this offensive line that has to improve going into this next season. And then I think it is Lorcan Quinn, who, you know, they say special teams isn't really that important until it is, you know, and so with a league where SEC, you're coming to compete every single week, where it could just come down to a game-winning kick, you got to have someone that you can rely on to make sure you get that extra win, which could end up being, at the end of the season, the difference between making and missing the college football playoff.
1,000%. And we know, not even just from last year, man. I mean, remember during the Coach Saban era, there were some moments where our special teams, man, they costed us at times, right? So we know how important it is. So I think you went from that, and then you had Will Reichard for years, right? And you had, you know, some punters come through like J.K. Scott. I mean, our special teams was great. And then it was like, man, we kind of forgot that before those years, man, we had some troubles there. Kind of forgot for a second what it's like. But I'll be honest. I think whoever wins that job, I think you'll get more out of Talty if he ends up winning it, which I think Lorcan Quinn, you bring him in for a reason. But the good news is there's competition, so it's only going to make Talty better. So if it does end up being him, I think he'll be better than he was last year. Let's just not boo him, man. I know it's frustrating. Let's not boo him. I felt bad for the young man. That wasn't fun, but hopefully we don't have to revisit anything like that this upcoming year, which is here. The new year is here. Training camp is here. First day is here. First practice is tomorrow. We'll keep talking about it when we come back at this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, don't go.
Call at 205-339-6540 or visit us at adamssvcs.com. We look forward to serving you.
Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform driveways and parking lots with expert repairs, new paving, or resurfacing. Fast, durable, and family-owned quality that you can trust. Don't let small issues turn into big expenses. Call 205-393.
What about credit? If you've got a job and a dime, you ride. Stick with Tuscaloosa, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Tuscaloosa, CDJR.com.
Plus tax and tag, visit Tuscaloosa, CDJR.com. From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama, we are here treating patients from every generation
across the United States
and from around the world. We're here for the rookies and the dreamers, trying to make a name for themselves. We are here for the achievers,
who are resilient
and won't take no for an answer. We're here for the coaches,
athletic trainers, and mentors.
The $10 bucket of the day deal every weekday, only at KFC. It's finger licking good.
Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Not available on third-party ordering platforms. Tax extra.
Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Founded by attorney and professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases. Known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit lamparello-law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. Proud partner.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Sunny skies, comfortable temperatures, low humidity 91 this afternoon. Gentle northwest breeze. We head into tonight, and the mugginess starts to creep back in. Partly cloudy, low 73. Wednesday, sunny, hot 93. A small chance of an afternoon shower. Thursday, sunny, climbing to 94. And we stay in the mid-90s as we wrap up the week on Friday with sunshine in the forecast. Richard Wedding of the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 87 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Follow the Crimson Tide on their journey to another national championship. Touchdown, Alabama! On your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, as we kind of wrap up our preview of fall camp. Since we already pretty much did that, there's one last, before we really dive into fall camp, which again, first practice is tomorrow, we got to hear one final Paul Feinbaum take against Alabama. I saw this yesterday, and I know we've heard probably 5 million takes from him that go against Alabama, Reed. But we got to hear one last one since we so deep into football. This is Paul Feinbaum. He was joining Crane and Cone, and on this was his thoughts on whether or not DeBoer will win the national championship here in Tuscaloosa.
Kalen DeBoer will win a national title at Alabama during his tenure, however long that may be. Paul Feinbaum, are you buying or selling that?
I'm selling that. And I'll spare you I think Kalen DeBoer is a good football coach. I think everybody does.
Yeah.
The question is he going to win a championship at Alabama? And my answer is no. And sometimes these fits are really good. Sometimes they're close to being good. This one's okay. But Alabama's unique. And really in the last 60 years, only 3 people have won national championships at Alabama. Two of them happened to be the greatest coach of all time on the day they retired. The other one looked just like the guy who retired in 1982. That's Gene Stallings. And I think at Alabama, you can be unique, you can be different. But Kalen DeBoer, to me, just doesn't have the right ingredients to win the title there. I think he's capable of winning it elsewhere. I mean, we all saw he came within a reasonable chance of winning it at Washington. I think he could probably have won one in Michigan. Alabama's different. I'm selling.
Yeah, I mean, Cone, to that point, we've talked about this a lot. It's not the is Kalen DeBoer a good coach argument. We to Paul's point, we all agree with that. And you have to be from a certain place to win in a certain place. I've seen Northern guys win in the South. I've seen Southern guys win on the West Coast. But overall team identity and the new era of college football, it just seems like, Alabama, to quote Lil Wayne here with Paul Feinbaum, the only thing on the mind of a shark is eat. But it doesn't seem like that's the only thing on Alabama's players' minds. The fans haven't changed, but it just seems like you can't open a hippie coffee shop when it used to be a saloon. It just a
hippie coffee shop when it used to be a saloon. That was
I've never heard that.
Quite the way to put that. Listen, we had to hear one last take from Paul Feinbaum on Alabama, Kalen DeBoer before we really kick off training camp. We probably won't hear. Well, we probably still will hear some, but we're going to get back into football mode and really talk X's and O's. That being said, are you buying or selling, Reed? I'll start there. Are you buying or selling Kalen DeBoer wins the national championship at Alabama? I know that's a very tough loaded question. I mean,
I was going to say, Christian, I cannot answer that at the start of the season, and I've said it going into the season. I think this is the most important season under Kalen DeBoer. Now, credit, everyone's saying this team's young. They're youthful. I fully get that, right? But we talked about it, I remember right at the start of the summer, right? There's 2 different types of progress, right? There's progress on record, right? Okay, hey, we made it farther. We got into the college football playoff. We won a road game. We made an SEC title, right? But then when it comes to play, are we progressing we kind of, degraded into the run game, right? The offensive line. So I'm trying to see going into the season, this is his guys. I feel like this is practically majority, if not fully his staff, right, finalized. I just think that at the end of the season, we will see what Kalen DeBoer's, the full everything all together, the staff, the players, the play together. And if we see a progress this season or next season, then I can start weighing into, okay, I can kind of believe this, or, hey, is it kind of going the way we're not expecting?
I agree with you that this is probably the most important season for him, given it's, year 3. We know that that's kind of the year people really start to expect things to come together. Year 1, we knew was a transition year. It was kind of like you got a little bit of a pass there. Year 2, we did see some progress. Now, there still were some lows, some frustrating moments, but there was definitely progress. That's undeniable. That's a fact. But the inner workings, if you really pay attention to those, I don't believe there was a whole bunch of improvement. Just being honest with you, I don't think, just from a true football X's and O's standpoint, right, of like how we're playing, not the wins and losses or where we got. That was a clear improvement, but the execution, right, the physical, those things, I didn't see an improvement there from year 1 to year 2. That said, I'm going to be judging this year not so much off of wins and losses. I mean, of course, that's part of the equation. But my metric for how they do this year will be determined by what they're able to fix in terms of the issues that we've had and that need to be addressed. The running game, offensive line, just from a team standpoint, the physicality, the execution, right? If we go 9-3, I've already kind of predicted that a little bit. So it definitely could be a 10-2 type year. Not saying it can't happen, but and a lot of people on the national side, they're in that same ballpark. But those are competitive games. We show toughness. We show grit. We're running the football a little bit better. I don't expect it to be, 2015 with Derrick Henry winning the Heisman. But you just see that there are steps in the right direction and things are being addressed. But, hey, man, we dropped a couple here. We got a young team. They're close games. They made a couple more plays than we did. I can live with that. And I think agree. To me, yeah, I can walk away from year 3 saying, hey, might not have been the results we wanted, but we can walk away with a little bit more confidence. Yeah, just off of those things alone.
And if we see that progress on the field with this youthful team, like you said, like there's going to be like this schedule we have is not easy whatsoever, right? We've got some hard games on the road and we've got some hard games at home, right? I'm like you said, 9-3, 10-2. I'm okay with that, right? But if we're seeing progress on the field, like you said, more physicality, better run game, better offensive line, right? Then heading into the 2027 season, right, where we're going to have a lot of those youthful guys more experienced, right? Then I'm going to feel a lot better about, the whole buy or sell conversation.
This might be a hot take, and if playoffs weren't a determining factor here, I would honestly say I would rather go 9-3, but have 3 losses that were very competitive to good teams. And we just, again, they made a couple more plays than we did. Then go 10-2 again like last year, and then have like the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows where we have some really good moments, but then we also have some very frustrated moments. I would almost take the former if I had to decide between the two there. Before we go, just got to remind you about our friends over at Lamparello Law. Remember, Lamparello-law.com. Check them out today for all your representation needs. They'll get you squared away. They'll do it for an affordable price to definitely take care of you if you're an Alabama fan. Lamparello-law.com. Remember, that's any criminal defense matter, academic, misconduct, NIL situations. They've got you covered. And all the other services, right? High school, college, and graduate students, exam and test taking preparation, subject matter mastery. The list goes on, academic and career planning. They do all that for you. They have pretty much everything you need at Lamparello-law.com. Adam Lamparello, founder and attorney. He will take great care of you guys, especially those Alabama fans, man. He's going to hook you up at Lamparello-law.com. That'll do it for us on this Talking Tuesday edition. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us as we preview fall camp, which technically started today. First practice is official tomorrow morning. We'll talk about it. We'll review it. Of course, we'll hear from head coach Kalen DeBoer live right here on the show. So make sure you guys are here ready for that. If you want to watch it, make sure you join the streams at The Miller's Edge on YouTube, X, all those other platforms. And we look forward to doing that and seeing you guys tomorrow right here, same time, same place on The Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9.